Oh man, she did what? Why is the government always lying? That's not your fault. That was your mother's job. I know it sucks. It's hard, but it's fair. If we don't get our heads out of our collective asses, we're gonna be lost in the sauce. You knew he was sorry when you met him at DHS. Come on, baby girl. What's the solution? Look, I know I'm fucked up.
Do your thing.
Welcome to the Angry Nerd Podcast. My name is Arshawn Wade, aka the Angry Nerd. The Angry Nerd Podcast is brought to you by some bad life choices and a couple of shattered dreams. The Angry Nerd Podcast is recorded live in my mom's basement in front of a live Facebook audience. Yep. The Angry Nerd Podcast is brought to you by money that I get from my wife for my SSI check, some chick named Joni, and proceeds from listeners like you. And if you want to be one of these listeners that contributes to this show getting better and better every week, go to Cash App. My Cash App is $the Angry Nerd. All right, enough glorified begging. We have in the house with us tonight none other than the crew at Savage Hippie. I'm like on the man groupie side of the game, like these are my dudes. It's like Jim, real quick, for all the black people who have trouble with the G turning into the F sound, how do you say your last name? McDonough. I've been calling him McDonald since I met him.
Works. It's been getting butchered my whole life, bro. When I was fat, they called me McDonut, so that'll work too.
Oh, that sucks. But I'm probably one of those douchebags that will be like, hey, McDonut, what up, bro? And Jim McDonald and Dylan Brackley, these are they make up Savage Hippie. And I love everything that these guys do. I love everything they stand for. And we wanted to have a conversation. And of course, I had to be controversial. I had to, as much as I say I hate talking about three things, I always end up talking about them. And that is parenting, politics, and religion. I hate talking about those three things because they fight wars over that kind of stuff. So, but I always end up talking about parenting, politics, or religion. So tonight's topic is the United States Constitution constitutional? Well, for myself, I'm working with a Tulsa Public Schools education, so I had to look up the word constitution and what it actually means. And when I looked up what it actually means, it's a set of standards that we all kind of agree on, that are moral and righteous. And when I think about it in that respect, I'm like, please forgive me, but it was 1778 or whenever it was put together. The people that looked like me were in shackles at that time. So that what they were putting together at that point in time, it didn't serve people like myself and black people and people in the low-income communities. So I asked the question, is the United States Constitution constitutional? Is that something that I think it's something that we should take a look at revising. We should take a look. I mean, we got 47 versions of the Bible. That's been remixed so many times. What do you guys think about that?
Man, I mean, we got groundwork. I mean, we got solid, beautiful groundwork early on that hasn't evolved since then. Why the hell hasn't it evolved since then? I mean, look at society today and what we've accomplished and what we've become, and yet our politics still, we're proud of the fact of how old it is and how, essentially outdated. Why aren't we sitting here, like you said, amendments, man? I mean, it's time for us to have a states convention and do something. I mean, actually make change and evolve our Constitution into what today's times are. Because, no offense, but when you were riding fucking horseback into the saloon to get a drink, you didn't have a mind cat carrying a computer around in their pocket. You know, there was no idea that we were going to be where we're at today. It was time for us to evolve our politics to who we are.
I agree 100%. What about you, Jim?
Like you were saying, completely agree. I can't speak from where you came from in that, but the fact that, people like you, when the Constitution was written, wasn't even thought of as human. It was thought of as lesser than, obviously at that point it did not serve all, right? And the way now,
maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but are we people? How do we connect?
But to keep, I mean, you bring in the fact that we are now this melting pot. We're not just European settlers now. It's not just European settlers sitting down a foundation. Now it's Americans. It's the melting pot. All of us now.
I can't hear you. What are you guys saying?
I said it's all of us now. I mean, why not? Why with everybody's mind? Most people, everybody. You hear us now?
Yeah, there you go.
We back.
Yeah, there we go.
I guess it's set up on my drum, dude. Might be reverbing a little bit. My bad.
Yeah, I think he was just saying, you know, it's like all people weren't included in that form of the Constitution. And there's obviously good parts, bad parts. And let me first say that I don't know shit about the Constitution, really. This is definitely not my level of expertise. But I'm saying, well, we got to get more people on this. We've evolved as people. We've got to keep evolving, even though right now it kind of seems like we're de-evolving. But, you know, I feel like it's got to be amended. You know, we're not the same people that we were then. So we've got to kind of all come together and really figure out, you know, some new setups, new guidelines, you know. People with the Second Amendment, which I'm a pro-Second Amendment. That doesn't mean that can there be some fix to that, you know.
I know, is the Second Amendment even righteous? You seen that? I mean, I know you saw that video of that dude that answered the door with a gun. He got shot down within 5 seconds. Is the Second Amendment even really right? I mean, is that everybody's amendment? This cat opened his door in Arizona where it's open carry everywhere. I mean, it's Wild West out there. And this cat just opens his door with a gun because the police show up in the middle of the night. I mean, yeah, they knocked and announced themselves, but yo, I can knock on his door and say I'm the police. You got a flashlight there. You don't know what's going on, dude. It's open carry state. Why can't you just go ahead and open the door with his gun in hand and say, and then once you realize it's the police, you have a chance to put it down. Dude didn't even have a chance. He had no shot. As soon as he opened that door, they saw he had a gun. Out of fear and realization, this dude goes to go down and kind of like, oh, what the fuck do I do? And in that moment, he's shot. What the fuck is that? And then on top of that, as far as some girl, I mean, the chick standing right there, she could have ended up dead because of that fucking lack of just foresight and thought.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
You know,
the Second Amendment was wrong with something like that?
so, and we're just talking about one small part of the Constitution. We're talking about the Second Amendment. Just in that instance, it's like how people's lives get snuffed out in the blink of an eye. And law, the way I understand it, has to be constitutional. It has to be a child of the Constitution. You know what I mean? It has to be a byproduct of the Constitution. And that's what that tells me is it's only certain citizens are protected by this Constitution. Because we see the other guy who shot the AK-47 at some store workers, and he shot the AK, and I think he shot at the cops too, if I read the article the right way. And he was arrested. And I think that was the most noteworthy part about it, was that he was arrested and he wasn't gunned down. And I'm not angry. I'm not some warmongering, violence junkie who wants people to get. I'm glad that he didn't get killed. Don't get me wrong. I'm glad at that. But I want Jermaine and Ray Ray to not get killed too. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. I didn't want him to get killed because some people's energy will move in that direction where, why y'all didn't kill the white boy? You know, and I'm like, wait a minute. Like, I'm not jockeying for anybody to get killed here, regardless of what color they are. I just don't want to get killed too. That's all. That's what I'm saying.
Does the Constitution not say we all have the right to a fair and just trial, and then we're all supposed to be innocent until proven guilty?
Yeah.
We're watching people being judged right there on the spot, and on the spot. I mean, this cat down in, was it Houston? That was in his car. He gets a call. They get a call saying he's doing drugs. And then you get another call saying he might have a gun. So they show up, 8 officers in tow, no investigation, just straight to pointing rifles at this dude, and want to know why he's freaking out, scared out of his fucking mind while they're pointing rifles. And he legitimately, like, why he's trying to put the car door in between him and them, is saying, like, just put the rifles down, do whatever you want, you know? Nobody knows what's going on here. And I get it. He got shot with a beanbag. I think he probably thought he was getting shot and wanted to bounce. You shouldn't run from the cops. But that's the fucking judge's decision on what happens from that. The cop doesn't get to say this motherfucker deserves to die because he's trying to run from us. I mean,
I agree.
that shit's his opportunity to a trial. That shit's all over him being innocent. He didn't even have a fucking gun on him. Who knows who called that guy? It could have been a fucking crackhead going fucking nuts saying, yeah, this asshole's in a car fucking with a gun. I mean, what? Where do we stop? You know, where do we sit here? And, well, I mean, there's no reference check on who's making a phone call to something like this.
Well, I mean, too, with like what you're saying with the whole, you know, fair trial and innocent until proven guilty. I mean, I feel like even with the way media portrays now, if you get, you know, if that rape allegation or whatever it is on you, people almost are automatically going to believe it now. And I mean, it's to the point where with the media coverage and the way we are with that stuff, where it's almost, it makes that null and void. And we all know that you can look at countless different charges with, you know, a person of color getting caught with a little bit of marijuana, and then a white person getting caught. And we've seen the discrepancies in the sentencing. And the people that see that, it's like, it's going on, you know. We don't see it.
Yeah.
That being said, I'm not smart enough to know what's a better.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Innocent until guilty, of course. That's beautiful. Does that mean it's working? You know? I don't feel like it's real. I just feel like it's beautiful.
Well, you feel like the Constitution backs you and you have those constitutional rights taken away from other people. And it's pride, perfectly just.
Well, for me, and I know people who listen to me and people who hear me say this all the time are like, oh, there he goes again on his soapbox. But it always comes back to anarchism for me. The free grouping of individuals and the abolishment of the government as we know it. Because one of the tenets of anarchism says that capitalism creates criminals. Criminality is a byproduct of capitalism, the haves and the have-nots. And it always comes back to that for me. Because we wouldn't have this police state that we have today if it wasn't for the police feeling like the people that they've been charged with protecting and serving are all potential criminals. Because to my mind, it seems like they come out in the course of their shift and it's like us, the boys in blue, against all these folks out here.
I mean, I'm from Memphis, man, and I've seen it. The difference in like, I've lived in really lower income parts of Memphis, and the police response there, as opposed to when I would live like out in the suburbs in Cordova or something. You know, it's like you could almost get, there's no real protection. There is no real police presence, like a good police presence in lower incomes. It's just like you said, it used to be cops were part of the community. You know what I mean? They would get cops. They would know, you know, like the kids in the neighborhood would know these police officers. And now it's not like that. And it's like they're almost, you know what I mean? They're policing part of the city in one way, and then they're policing the other part of the city in a completely more military, you know, BS way. And I mean, it's
You got possible suspect instead of possible victims.
yes, always. It's always right.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I mean, it's
Well, it seems like things that I've read, books that I have read, it's like when the founding fathers, you know, let's not act like the guys up north were just like totally opposed to slavery and everything like that. It's like they had their get down, they had their feel, and they were done with it. The thing that I respect about slavery in the North was the fact that they knew what they were doing was wrong. You know what I'm saying? They were like, they knew it was dirty, and they're like, all right, we did what we did. We got our money. We'll let these folks, you know, go on about their business. Now, when they drafted the Constitution, they knew that slavery was such a hairy situation. You know what I mean? That they were like, we'll never get a Constitution if we bring that up. So we'll just get everybody in the country to go along with this right here, and we'll deal with slavery some other time. You know, it was like almost 100 years later when they actually dealt with slavery. You know what I'm saying? But it was like they knew, and they knew that it was wrong, and they knew something had to be done, but they knew that, man, we will never get any set guidelines or rules to live by as a country as a whole if we bring that up. And the thing for me is the reason why I feel like the whole Constitution should be redrafted is because when a good portion of this country, black folks, and black folks weren't the only people who were enslaved. You had poor whites too, and that's another thing. I don't like people who are so far left or so far right that they can't, see the gray area and things. You know what I'm saying? They can't. There's a whole lot of gray that doesn't get talked about, and there's a lot of other people who were disenfranchised in this country too, and they kind of get swept under the rug a little bit. But what I'm saying is, these people, super poor white people and slaves, were not in mind when the Constitution was created. So I feel like that in our best interest, because I'm not rich, I'm not living in no big house on the hill. I think that it should be redrafted to be more inclusive, because it appears that the way it stands is for the power elite. You know what I mean? And if you got enough money, you can circumvent even the Constitution. And if we're going to have a document like that in place to govern us, I think it should be more fair. You know what I mean? I think it should be something that serves poor, rich, because I don't think we're going to be able to get away from capitalism until the dollar crashes. I just don't think we'll ever be able to get away from that. Go ahead. I'm sorry. What were you saying, Dylan?
I say it might be soon with the dollar crash.
It's already going down.
Hey, you said it in a nutshell, bro. It's drafted in a time when they weren't even comfortable with dealing with slavery. Are we really going to continue to run off of something so antiquated that it wasn't even comfortable to deal with something that was so, wrong? Here we are way beyond that. We're dealing with wrongs of all kinds. We're trying to deal with so many different wrongs that we see in the world now, and people are kind of seeing it. You got people who don't even want to animals. They don't even eat animals anymore. We're getting to such a level of empathy and compassion and love, and it's cool, man. And we need to continue on, and we need to see that in our political system. We need to see We need to see us come together.
Empathy, real empathy. That's what we've lost as people aren't empathetic anymore. People, you hear it all the time, and I get it. I'm worried about me. I'm worried about my family and my kids, and I get that. You know what I mean? But what if people did that and also worried about their neighbors? Also tried to help more people and be more empathetic with what fucking people are going through. Everybody's going through something, and if you kind of use psychology a little bit and try to actually put yourself in their shoes and see what someone's going through, it's a lot easier to be empathetic. It doesn't mean you're excusing their actions or whatever, but you can be more empathetic when we're not as a people. We're really, it seems like we're getting farther. In one way, like Dylan said, it's getting better, but maybe social media is kind of portraying that it's going away a little bit, But definitely need it, man. We need more empathy. We need something. Yeah. We need a lot of brains, a lot of people that are, 5 people. Hey, 5 people, if you think you can help us make change, let's do some shit. Yeah.
It's definitely helping having these conversations. And people see, I want to say something. I don't think I've said this I don't know if I said this to either one of you guys, but I want to say, I know I said it to Jared, and I think Aaron Benson, but I want to say, I really appreciate you guys being white men and being vocal about Black Lives Matter and being vocal about George Floyd and not seeing it as a black problem, but seeing it as a human problem. My brothers are being fucked around. My brothers are being killed. My brothers are being treated badly. And when I saw you guys participating, I like that warmed my heart. It was like, I was like, I fool with Savage Hippie, but then it was like, at that moment, I was like, oh, I fucks with them. You know what I mean? For real, because let me tell you something. In the Black community, when you're the guy who says, hey, all white people ain't bad, all the brothers turn around and be like, oh man, here he goes. So to see some of my white brothers out there standing shoulder to shoulder, holding signs, making their voice heard, that really warmed my heart. It was like, there are people out here who are fighting the fight, who are standing for what's right. and they are not the same color. They don't have the same background. They just good people standing for the right. They see the wrong and they're like, hey man, that's fucked up. That's not okay. And I'm not gonna stand for it. I'm not gonna stand for it, regardless of color, creed, and all that jazz there. And as a young black man, I greatly appreciate you guys and all the other white people that I've seen come out there and stand on the Black Lives Matter movement whenever everything was going down. I really appreciate that, man.
It's going to take us all, man. Like, it's not, we can't group up, you know, and I understand, like, I don't completely understand, but understand why people of color would feel like they have to band together, right? Because the cards have been swung against, but for really change, we've got to come together. And I mean, more and more people are coming out. Like, when we went to the protest the first time in Little Rock, we were sitting there, and this old white guy, gray-headed old white guy, pulls up in a truck. And I mean, I'm on him immediately, like, you know, who's this dude? He jumps out, and he has tons of water bottles in the back, just cases of water. And he literally flags us over to come get it, and we all start getting the water bottles out. And this is the most not person you would think to see there, and he just looks right at us like, hey, guys, I'm with you. Basically, you know, kudos. It was just something, you know, nice. You wouldn't expect. More and more people like that are starting to come out, and that's what it's going to take. It can't be just one group of people. It's got to be all people that think alike, come together regardless of color, man. We got to get past this shit. You know? But that's easier for me.
I mean, you look at history too, man. I mean, you look at the civil rights movement, the original civil. I mean, the beginning of it came from dudes from Berkeley, bro. I mean, they knew they had power and had to. I mean, you got to stand up and say, this is a human problem. This is not a color problem. This is not a certain. This is just people. I mean, you can sit here. I told people you can sit here and look at somebody like yourself and say, you know, listen to your struggle and what you say your story is and why you would be there and why you would be standing there and saying you feel unjust. And you can be a man and I can look at you and say, bullshit, I don't believe you. Or you can try to shroud it in nonsense and look for statistics and bullshit. Or you can be a human being and just say, hey, you know what, dude, if you think you're being treated misfairly and unjustly, then I'm here to stand with you because I'm a human too. And that's all it is, man. I mean, right? Isn't that all it should be?
We've been talking loosely for about a month and a half or so about some of our ideas, possibly bootleg hood ass trailer park ass type constitution of our own, just our own ideas. We're just some dudes that see something's wrong. We may not have the education background or, you know what I mean, the right, be able to use the right vernacular to put this stuff together. But we recognize that there is something wrong, and we are trying to reach out and band together with like-minded people who want to affect some positive change for all people. Because I think that there are a lot of people who are affected in a negative way by the way things have been going on in this country. And I think on a massive scale, people are falling out of love with the government. You know, it was like, you know, those stumped down patriots and, you know, people who are just, I'm an American, you know, it's America, you know. I think even people like that are like starting to be demystified by the government and all the bullcrap that they've had going on for all these years. Now people are like, who cares? Democrat, Republican, whatever. I'm seeing like, people are like, who cares? Liberal, conservative, who gives a damn? People are more and more they're just falling out of love with it. You know what I mean? So I think it's a perfect opportunity for us to present something the right way to the people and create some sort of political vehicle for the people to jump on board with. I'm sorry, what were you going to say, Dylan?
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Go ahead, whoever. I'm sorry. I'll talk forever.
It's fine, man. It's just like you're saying, though. We've got to come together and just like you said, we might not be the ones that can come up with a great idea, but us getting this discussion started and us bringing our thoughts into it, maybe some person hears this that has the right idea, you know, but the conversation is what matters and getting more and more people together to have this conversation because we know, you know, I'm all about personal responsibility and owning up to your actions, but if the system's rigged, which is what I feel like it is, and it's a rigged system where, you know, personal responsibility only takes you so far. So we've got to come together and try to heal the pain. People are in pain. And what if we had a government that cared about You know what I mean? Instead of, sitting right now debating on the stimulus check or all this crap, and they're going back and forth because, they're trying to get the left trying to get their crap in, and the right's trying to get their crap in. And it just shows you they don't really care. They don't care about the people. Like, they do not, man. And they show it constantly that they don't truly care about the people, and they don't give us the right information, like health-wise or nutrition or any of the things that could actually maybe help people get better,
Well, that's a good point. I mean, it brings up everything we've seen this year in the two different cases of, like, different groups of people protesting for different reasons and feeling served unjustly. And, I mean, in all honesty, we're all singing the same song, but just on a different rhythm, man. I mean, we just got to kind of swing that together and kind of get focused. And I guess that's the problem. That's why we brought up trying to draft our own thing up to essentially, if nothing else, get some goals, because we see these things come up and it just ends up blind rage. I know me and you talked about that last time we were at the house. It's just some blind rage, and it's awesome. It's fuel, but damn it, there has to be some fucking leadership and goals set in place to make something happen. Like, something has to happen. We saw with that blind rage turned into some people going to fucking jail like they needed to. Nothing was bringing you back. Shit got happened. Justice got served. The best they could. And we can't say that for other ones. I saw Daniel Shaver's fucking cop got off scot-free, man. That shit makes me sick. But I don't want to jump into that. But anyways, we're all singing the same song. We're all sitting here wanting the same thing. We want to see our rights respected. And point blank, the ones in power right now, we're doing it. They don't care. Power corrupts. We're seeing it with the pedophilia and the massive amounts of folks that are popping out, showing you that power corrupts. So we have to learn how to check that. That has to be a balance in our system that we check, because it's way the fuck out of balance right now, and we're not. People are so, we're conditioned for it. Have you ever felt, man, we get a little older now. I mean, you're about 32, right?
Yeah, 35.
35. As we get a little bit older now, bro, do you ever celebrate? Remember back when we were young, these guys were telling us, hey, the music and the video games, the shit you're playing, it's influencing your life. You're just like, nah, it's not making me go out and rob shit. I feel like they were onto something, but just a little off. Like, instead of this, like, subliminal making you want to do shit, really it just became this conditioning to where we became so acceptable of so many things that, man, we should not be acceptable of.
Right.
We should.
Right.
I watch, my kid watches these YouTube villains go on Grand Theft Auto and turn the Hulk and do all this crazy shit. It's real, like, juvenile or whatever, but it's just sitting here watching. I remember, and I'm like, damn, the shit I was doing at a young age, man, right. Maybe these guys were onto something. Maybe sitting here talking about, this was bad for us. Maybe how we look at entertainment, how we look at the world is poor. Maybe that's a big way that we make change and we see things kind of. I mean, I would never want to, like, hold back artistry. I'm an artist. I love art. I would never want to see censorship. Some way, you know what I mean? I don't know. Speaking out loud.
But you touched on something very powerful. You talked about like the pedophilia that's going on, like more and more, like that list is getting so long. That list is getting super long. And to bring that into the conversation, constitutionally, there should be something in there that protects old people and children and protects people in this society from predators like that. And I think the reason that there isn't is because their ilk have always been involved in that type of behavior. Because if you notice, it's always the same kind of cat that gets caught up in that behavior, and the punishment is always very minuscule. Like, I've never seen, I'm sorry, in jail we call them chomos, and that's just how we refer to those people. And I don't care about them going to get their pedo rights and all that stuff. Listen, it's one thing to accept the LGBTQ, that's one thing. But I'm not gonna accept kid touchers. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna sit up here and act like you got rights and that's the way you look. No, you're a creep, you're a weirdo, and something should be done to those people. I don't want to incite people to do harm to people. This isn't a call to do harm to those people, but I do think that is the worst representation of a human being, though, if you're gonna go messing with kids in that capacity. Yeah, for sure. You're a skunk.
I mean,
and it seems like it's always them kind of folks, you know what I mean? Like governors and politicians and stuff like that who are involved in that heinous crime. Every now and then you see the regular humdrum bum around the town, you know, weird guy. But most of the time when there are these super pedophile rings and stuff like that, it's always the elite. It's always those folks. I'm sorry, go ahead, Jim.
Well, no, I mean, like when the founding fathers wrote the Constitution, that shit was common. I'm not saying it was right, but people married, you know, 13-year-old girls, and it was common. You know what I mean? So I mean, I don't know what my point I'm trying to make. It's just that was common back then, and now, you know, obviously we've evolved to realize that's sick. But I mean, it would make sense in my brain that the same type people that the founding fathers were, which were the elites, that they've carried on this shit. You know what I mean? They've carried on this. It makes too much sense to me that of course, and then like you said, the little creepy pedophiles that you see, that's the ones that always get the coverage. You know, the ones that are just some crazy. But when it's the real upper echelon, it's like you said, you barely see it. They get minimum sentencing. So I mean, of course, it's an elite class, you know. And I feel like
There's an opportunity here, though. There's a big opportunity here, and that's the fact that there is one thing right now in our society that every fucking one of us can band down and actually unite over. And I don't know, maybe that's why it just seems to be mainly social media coverage and maybe not a lot of pushing from other media. It seems like it's pretty hot just about everywhere, but you see them folks trying to push, media's not covering. But I mean, hey, here's an opportunity for us to unite over something. I mean, here's a chance for us to say, like,
everyone get behind this.
Yes, this house.
Jesus Christ,
look,
man.
This is what's happening. This is the reasoning. I mean, the reasoning is clearly because of abuse power. It's people obtaining too much, being able to feel like they can do whatever the fuck they want, and it's time for us to figure out how to keep that at bay and how to stop that. And every one of us can get behind that, and it's important. I think right now it's a really important thing for people to look at and realize, like, man, it's with everything going on. At least there's one silver lining. There's one thing that we can sit here and say, absolutely not. You know, there is like you said, there's a small little groups of people that are actually trying to push for.
Is that real, though?
I can't tell if that's a troll or not. I don't fucking know. It feels like a troll, man. But I mean, there definitely is. We've seen where people are actually finding these groups and shit. But at the same time, we talk to, and there's always that small piece of like the person that is born for whatever reason. Maybe they're abused as a child. They have kids. They don't ever act upon them. We want to make humanize someone. Help. How far do you how do we find not so scared that we can't do it, but it pushes them to act or recognize that find out a horrible thing. People, let's say it's someone has evidence to kids, which would that person be allowed? That makes sense. Like, or should they just automatically my brain's fucking. What is somebody trying to get not play? You know?
No, I totally get it. But let me say this real quick. For any of my LGBTQ listeners, let me explain to you why I brought the LGBTQ. That's a lot of letters, so please forgive me if I butcher that. But let me explain to you why I bring that up. It's because the pedophiles are trying to co-opt the LGBTQ movement. They're trying to put a P on there. So that's why I brought that up. Now, I don't believe, and I hope that my LGBTQ brothers and sisters don't agree with those folks. I really believe that they will get a lot of negative publicity, and they will lose a lot of faith from straight, whatever they call us, the straights. I think they will lose a whole lot of respect if they allow those people to come into the fold. Because there's one thing to have a different sexual preference or change your sexual gender and all that, and stealing the innocence of a child. These things, these are not the same. That's not the same. So I'm sorry. Go ahead, buddy.
it's fine. It would feed fuel to the fire with the people. You know, those ignorant people that act like gay people are all pedophiles or transsexual people. You know, they always try to say they're gonna go in the bathrooms and all, you know, all that bullshit. But if they actually did let that sneak in, it would like discredit them. You know what I mean? It would be the most fucked up thing. Tons of friends that are gay. I've got transsexual friends, and every one of them is behind, you know, going after pedophiles. So I mean, it's I don't think that movement would ever, you know what I mean? Like you said, if they did, it would be a bad move, you know, or something that's abused. I'm so glad that we're getting into a time, whether I agree with, you want to be called whatever you want to be called. It's not up to me whether I agree with it. It's the fact that you feel comfortable with it. It doesn't matter. Like, that's what we got to realize. Like, you're not hurting me. Why do I care if you're called a girl, a guy, or anything? I don't care. It's not hurting me. It's
Don't nobody fuck kids.
yeah, don't let him fuck kids. There you go. Basically, it's like
I think everybody is in agreement there.
yeah.
So don't
It's not.
And that's the thing. A true constitution will protect the weakest members of its society. Old people, little kids, mentally handicapped, physically handicapped. These people would be at the top because we want anybody who has a special needs family member, anybody who's a parent, anybody who has an elderly member of their family will agree. These people need to be protected. There's no way in the world Meemaw should barely be making it. There's no way in the world she should be living her golden years. She should be laid up somewhere, watching Touched by an Angel, eating bonbons or whatever she wants to do. Whatever it is that keeps her happy. And that should be the same for everybody's Meemaw, and everybody's kids should have what they need to go to school and not be teased and not be made fun of. These people, see, a real constitution would make sure that a child's childhood remained just that, and that everybody's childhood would be great. A real constitution. Everyone's golden years would be spent in the lap of luxury. You're finna get out of here in a few years anyway and go on to the great out over yonder. You know what I'm saying? It's like, to me, that makes sense. Well, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jim.
He said the great bonbon.
The great by and by. Yeah, I mean, that's like with what you're saying too. It's why I've always like when people are talking, the economy's doing great, but I feel like when they say that, they're only talking about how the rich people are doing. Like the rich people are making money, but it's like, well, what about the growing problem and the, you know, all this crap? The economy doing well, I feel like is only doing well for certain people, and I mean that once again could be personal responsibility. There's a million reasons, right? But I feel like at a whole, it's not really representing us all. You know, it's representing the top.
Yeah, and you know what? To me, that's one of the biggest fallacies that there is. Personal responsibility. Well, we're supposed to be a nation, a country, a people, the United States. So we are responsible for our fellow man. And if we got 3 million homeless people in this country, 3 million people, you know that's more than the population of Arkansas? There's only about 2.5 million people in Arkansas. So we got a whole state of homeless people in this country. And you want to tell me about the economy doing well? The economy can't be doing well if there are people who don't have a place to live. If there are kids that don't have something to eat, if there are old people, I remember hearing stories growing up about old ladies eating cat food because their check couldn't pay for groceries and things like that. That should never happen. And we're supposed to be one of the most technologically advanced societies, one of the most, what's that other word that they like to talk about? Sophisticated. We're supposed to be one of the most sophisticated societies, one of the most humane societies, and we have tragedies like that going on every second of the day in this country. A true constitution wouldn't see that happening.
People don't care either, man. People don't care that how many of those homeless people are mentally ill that never got, you know, a lot of that happened too when they, you know, a lot of the mental hospitals lost funding and those people had nowhere to go and they're out there, you know, sick as hell. And then even just the drug addicts, people want to say, oh, you know, blah, blah, blah. But there are people out there suffering. You know what I mean? And people just don't care. It leads back to the empathy thing. People, it's not affecting them. If there's, Skid Row in LA, if you're in Batesville, Arkansas, why should you care, right? But I mean, like you said, we're a fucking nation. We're a nation. We're supposed to be together. We're supposed to really care. We're supposed to care about the least of us, the ones that suffer, and the people in pain. And I feel like we don't. Like,
And
We don't. We're as divided as we were 100 years ago, 140, 50 years ago, right? What was that? 170 years ago? I mean, essentially, I talked to a guy the other day, and he was like, I was talking to somebody, and you got talking about Civil War, and it's like, it's essentially, it's there. We're there. We're already doing it. We're just doing it with the technology at hand. We're utilizing what we have. We're already in the middle of the Civil War. It is what it is. Now it's trying to find out how we can unify. How do we break away from that before it's too late, for one? And in my opinion, what better than another state's convention? What better than everybody electing people, normal fucking people? That's one thing. We have to push that. That's got to be a push. I want to see tanks. I want to see construction workers. I want to see warehouse managers. I want to see folks that have lived this shit and been a normal human being long enough to say, all right, I want to go sit and, feel comfortable enough to say, I want to go to this think tank. I want to go to this national think tank where we're going to sit and we're going to talk about how we can make this better. How can we take this 200-plus-year-old document that makes no fucking sense that we're running off of still because we have cell phones in our fucking pockets now and we don't ride horses anymore? How can we take this framework, which is good, and how can we make this fit today? How can we make this work? Why is it so offensive? Why is it, I've said this before to people, and it's instantly this like offendable thing, like I'm treasonous. It's like, oh man, it's not treason. It's just simply saying we can.
the Constitution is kind of treason,
we can do better, and for many different reasons, a lot of different reasons. And power has to change. We have to take out things like Citizens United, where we gave corporations the power of being a person. Like, I don't know if people know that. We gave in 2010 corporations personhood so they could influence elections and nothing more, nothing less. That is purely the only reason. So money could be put in places they wanted it to go that it couldn't go before. And we allowed that shit. It's like right in, and you'll barely hear shit about it. And it's the same. We're slowly turning into an oligarchy. What constitution's going to matter when we're run by corporations?
we already are, bro.
Essentially are.
Yep. Well,
Go ahead.
bringing it all the way around full circle for me. And remember, I am a nerd. I had an Atari. And I thought, this is the greatest thing on the face of the planet. I remember playing boxing, and the guys looked like little crabs. It was horrible. I remember playing Pong. And then I remember playing Super Mario Brothers, Mike Tyson Punch-Out, Mortal Kombat, NBA Jams. And I watched the progression of video games, and I watched technology grow and develop. Why isn't our Constitution growing and developing? Why aren't our laws growing and developing with us? Why are we still holding on to a piece of parchment in a little glass somewhere? I don't know where it's at. I'm not super American like that to know it's in DC or Philly. It's somewhere where there's a lot of tourism. I'm sure they're charging $70 or $80 a person to come in there and take a look at it, because that's what we do in this country. Everything is for sale.
Yeah, it's nuts, man.
And that's my thing. We have advanced so much in the past 30 years. As a people, psychologically, we look at mental health differently. Because I know when I was growing up, I know my dad died of colon cancer, and I found out that he was sick like a year before he died. I come from those kind of men. Like, you don't talk about stuff like that. Mental health is for pussies. Like, suck it up, buttercup.
Same situation. Same way. We found out my dad had cancer, and he was dead in like 3 weeks. Didn't, you know what I mean? Didn't tell anybody.
So, emotionally, psychologically, physically, we look different. We're healthier. We're smarter. We're more intelligent. Why a group, a country of intelligent people, why have we not advanced our Constitution? Why have we not done that? The rules that govern us, why have we not took a look at revising them? You know, that's a question that we need to really pose to the powers that be. That's something that they really need to take. This country needs a change. What's that one show, Extreme Home Makeover? That's what this country needs. A redistribution of wealth, a factory reset. That's what we need. Once you do your cell phone, once it's corrupt, you get a factory reset. That's what this country needs. It needs a factory reset, man. Go ahead. You guys want to say something before we get out of here?
We're in demo phase right now. I mean, we're in demolitions right now, essentially. I mean, that sounds kind of shitty. I know a lot of people have mixed feelings, but we're sitting here, we're breaking down. Shit's breaking down. Laws are breaking down. Mental barriers are breaking down. Statues are breaking down. I don't know how I feel about all that, but shit's breaking down, and it's our chance right now to rebuild and to change and to make things better and to make a reason for new statues and new beacons of hope to be erected and for new things, man. Why not? Like you said, we sat here and watched video games grow. I mean, I feel like I'm the luckiest man alive to live in the time I have and the frame of reference of time. You know, I literally like popped down in elementary school, middle school with a computer class using a Mac to where I have one in my pocket now. So I got to see that fun, awesome, fast evolution and yet see so many things that didn't evolve, man. Why not? Why haven't we? Why are we still sitting here with a fucking computer in my pocket that can tell me more than a professor at a school can tell me?
It came a long way from the floppy disk.
Yeah, right. Why do we have? Why can we vote on the next American Idol? Why can we vote on who's got more talent? Why can we vote on all these things? But yet we can't come together as a people in a country that's supposed to be all of us. We're represented. Why do we need to be represented anymore? We have the technology to represent ourselves. Why haven't we worked towards a system of democracy? I know we're a republic. I don't give a shit. We work towards democracy. That's what we strive towards. That's what we want to be. That's what we're supposed to be. And it's the simple fact of everybody having a voice. Period. And why aren't we doing that? Why aren't we finding technologies? Why aren't we say, hey, why you get to help make a decision this week? This is America Week. Everybody's off from work because you all got to sit down and take some fucking responsibility, and we're going to vote, and we're going to make decisions on how our country should be and where we should be at. No doubt. Why not?
What you got, Jim, before we get out of here?
Man, I mean, this is a great topic. Thank you for having us on. And I mean, like I said, I don't feel like I'm the person that should be even talking about this, but I feel like, you know, my whole thing is we've just got to look out for the little guy. We got to look out for the people that are suffering. We got to look out for the people that are in pain. And like to Dylan's point, like the common man, we've got to have like actual common man voices that are representing us, not just people that pretend to represent us but don't care at all about us. We gotta out there. I don't know what the answer how to do that, but we just gotta care about people more and just worry about the little guy, you know. Let's get everybody on the equal playing field. Might not be equality of outcome, but at least where we're all starting at the same level. And then where you go from there, that's gonna be on you, but you got to start at the same level or not at all.
For sure. Hey, man, I really appreciate you guys. Dylan Brackley, Jim McDonough, Savage Hippie. You guys are awesome. I love you guys. Y'all have a good night, man.
Have a good one, man.
All right, brother. So there you have it. Arshawn Wade, a.k.a. The Angry Nerd. Jim McDonough, Dylan Brackley, and Savage Hippie. Those are my guys. I really love those guys. As you can tell by the conversation, we do not have all the answers. As a matter of fact, I don't think we have any answers, but we do have questions, and we want to get the conversation started. We want to keep the conversation going. We want you guys to have these conversations with your friends outside of Facebook, Podbean, Spotify, and YouTube. Let's have the conversation. Let's continue the conversation, and let's not make fun of my eye. Yes, I would like to take this time to give a shout out to my man, Nathan Mitchell. He was my opponent this weekend in Mississippi. Super tough guy. My eye looks 1,000 times better than it did Saturday. Yeah. First round, closed my eye. Crazy left hook. So shout out to Nathan Mitchell. Much love, respect, and prosperity to him. Before I get out of here, I wanted to promote a couple of things. As always, my man Dylan Brackley over at Savage Hippie. These guys have a clothing line at Savage Hippie. Support them, support their brand. Go over, check out their page. Buy a t-shirt. Dylan and Jim have an awesome clothing line. They have great shirts. Make kindness great again. That's one of the signature shirts over there. Inbox Dylan, inbox Jim. Let those guys know that you're interested in purchasing a shirt. Now, I want to check out the shirt that I'm wearing right now. Oh, can you see that? For anybody on Podbean, Spotify, and YouTube, you can't see this. I am wearing the official Transverb t-shirt. Yeah, my homegirl, Tanila Spencer. She is a computer wizard, coding person. As you can see, the Angry Nerd ain't real savvy when it comes to like computer tech. But Transverb is an awesome app that is revolutionizing the way that we communicate. Transverb will take the language that you're speaking and translate it to a native speaker. For instance, I'm speaking English, but when I was in Cancun, I met some nice Spanish sweetheart, and she doesn't speak English. I can text her on the Transverb app in English, and it will translate it in Spanish for her. How awesome is that? So support Tanila Spencer and Transverb. Once again, check out the shirt. Transverb, New York. I can't remember if it's Big Cartel or it might be Designed by Human. Yeah, Designed by Human. Anyway, go purchase swag. Go support that sister and her movement. Support Savage Hippie. Support the Angry Nerd. $ The Angry Nerd at Cash App. My name is Arshawn Wade. Keep the conversation going. AKA The Angry Nerd. I'm out. Peace.